last night, Law and Crime Overthoughts was going on. Law and Crime Network decided to give me a surprise. Well, not a real big surprise, but enough as a surprise. It was quick, I should say. So before we play that particular video, I would not be the journalist I am. This nigga Drake was going to be caught with this XXX shit again. I knew he was going to get caught up in this shit again. Said this shit months ago. Just 5 months ago. Just 5 motherfucking months ago. He had got subpoenaed. So, remember back in February 2023 when Mr. Aubrey Graham XXXTentacion murder trial unreasonable and oppressive. This was February 13th last year. Okay, as previously reported, a judge ordered Drake to give a deposition in the trial. Notice how he's giving depositions and petitions now and shit, right? In the trial now, his legal team has responded by calling the subpoena unreasonable. The trial has ruled that Drake is not required to give a deposition remotely or otherwise. TMZ reports Drake's legal team convinced Judge Michael A. Usan to throw out an attempt to subpoena the Toronto rapper. Usan recently signed off on the request, which comes out submitted a court order asking for Drake to share details purportedly pertaining to the 2018 killing of XXXTentacion. So one of the suspects had asked Drake to come to court. So this isn't the first time that Dedrick has done this. Okay, so according to Drake's attorney, Bradford Cohen, his client has no relevant information to add to the trial. Judge Usan agreed. So on Monday, John Bliston reported for Rolling Stone that Drake's lawyers had responded to both the original subpoena and a recently reported order from the judge. So before we even get to that, right? Again, this was not even, we'll just play the video first.
Because you were an essential part of that crime. When you went to spend that blood money on sneakers and jerseys, you revealed to the court
in the 2018 murder of rapper XXXTentacion on a major celebrity. Attorney for the convicted killer, Dedrick Devon Williams. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Dedrick Devon Williams now appealing his case, his conviction, his sentence on the grounds that he did not receive a fair trial. And this is in part due to what his attorneys say is the exclusion of evidence that pointed the finger or maybe pointed the finger at other people.
Now, see, here's the thing, right? This is what happens when a nigga is facing life. Let me say that, right? This is what happens when a nigga is facing life. Or should I say is not even facing life. He's sentenced to life. Fuck facing. You sentenced to life. Now you thinking about what you done and said, oh, all the way come clean on this. I cannot be the only nigga going down on this one. Because I took the bag. You know what I'm saying? Louis bags in exchange for body bags. I took the bag. But the nigga that paid me, you know what I'm saying? The nigga that paid me need to come forth right now. See, this is why I said before, this is going to fuck around, damn it. This is going to be the third time I'm saying this shit. Drake is going to be caught for a murder for hire. I guarantee y'all that. It's not a coincidence that when we went over that board, that Blind Adams board, and in the very corner of that shit, you saw the YNW Melly case and the fact that Dedrick Williams was now a part of the YNW Melly case. That was not a coincidence that was part of that Ebony Patrick, or Ebony Patrice, I can't remember the name, Ebony Patrick Tentacion's murder being in that case. I said, why is that in the Blind Items? Right, exactly. UMG got right on it. Said, you have a lot of skeletons we could pull. Quite a few. But here's just one. And we ain't just gonna slap you on the wrist just to remind you this time, nigga. This is gonna be a full pursuit. evidence that they might have already that will implement Drake as part of that XXXTentacion murder. If that case gets reopened, I foresee Lucy saying, hey, come here. Can y'all do like a reinvestigation? Oh, he's up for an appeal. You want to check? Juries. I'll find you some jurors. But you're going to reopen that case. You're going to reopen this case on this nigga.
And one of those people whose name has come up is rapper Drake. So I want to quickly get you up to speed on this case before we get into these new albums for the 2018 killing of the star rapper. And to be more precise, they were convicted of first-degree murder and armed robbery in connection with the shooting death of the 20-year-old artist whose legal name was Jose Onfoy. Now, the jury deliberated a lot. They deliberated for a little more than 7 days before returning a guilty verdict. This was for Michael Boatwright, Dedrick Williams, and Trayvon Newsom. Now, this murder occurred on June, and XXXTentacion had just withdrawn $50,000 in cash from a bank. He was leaving the store with a friend when, as two masked gunmen, later identified as Boatwright and Newsom, emerged from the vehicle, confronted the rapper at his driver's side window. There is a brief but very violent exchange with one of the men shooting XXX repeatedly. Afterwards, they snatch a Louis Vuitton bag containing the cash that the rapper had just withdrawn, and they speed away in the SUV. Williams was accused of being the driver, but he witnessed the murder. And the jury's deliberation was lengthy, but ultimately they concluded that the evidence presented by the prosecution was sufficient. Defendants flashing cash right after the shooting. It included incriminating text messages from Boatwright, including one right after the shooting saying, "Tell my brother I got money for the new phone." And then, just minutes after that, sending in a separate text message a claim that...
Now, before we even do that, I gotta look at this, the lyrics too from Upset. Abra, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate you. Love you as well. Feel better. Please feel better. Please feel better. Prayers in the chat for Abra as well, that she does get better. God is with you also. I greatly appreciate you saying that. I try to pray as much as I can. I had a pretty lonely Thanksgiving, but y'all made it exciting for me. So I greatly appreciate what we did with. But real quick, I want to virtual hugs, virtual love for Abra. Throw some hearts and prayer hands in the chat for Miss Abra, please. Prayer hands and hearts in the chat for Miss Abra, please. It just sticks right on out. It's crazy how it does, too. It's crazy how this sticks out. It's like I feel like I got to keep going to these things. SMS XXX. That's the only time I ever shoot below the neck. Why you keep on shooting if you know that nigga dead? That's the only kind of shit that gets you some respect. Crazy how you would throw those types of lyrics in a record like that.
He was a part of this robbery. And before we jump into this story, I have something I gotta tell you about. I host and executive produce a show called, and a big focus of this is on Drake. It's also Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you for coming on right afterwards. So I wanted to talk about this with you, and we're gonna get into more specifics of the appeal. But overall, big picture, big theme, what are you and the rest of the defense counsel arguing here?
Well, I am not arguing it. I'm not his appellate attorney. I was the trial counsel. So I'm just referencing what Mr. Patanzo, which is his appellate attorney, has stated in the brief. There is so many errors that it takes a while to even break it down. One of the main, I file a witness list. The state's reaction to that was to file a motion saying, we want the court to strike all of his witnesses, that's not even something that's legal or that you could do. You have to itemize who you want stricken. You just can't shotgun. That I had to defend, myself to that in that motion. The court didn't grant that, but the court instructed me to file a pleading, which was the nexus in my defense witnesses and what nexus they had to my theory of defense, which I argued was inappropriate because at the end of the day, you're ordering me to give the state a blueprint of what my of what my defense is going to be. But I was ordered to do it, and I did it. When prior to Mr. Onfroy, which I'll refer to him as X for this interview because his stage name was XXXTentacion, which was the victim in this case. Prior to him being murdered, he had posted on Instagram, paraphrasing, but something to that effect, right? So imagine the decedent said prior to his death, in detail, all of my defense witnesses list, which included many rappers, because at the end of the day, the victim in this case was a rapper, including 600 Breezy, which is a Chicago-based rapper, and a rapper that's from Toronto by the name of, he goes by Top 5, which is Hassan Ali. And I had to lay that all out in detail. The court was fully aware of my theory of defense. Prior to that, I filed a motion to perpetuate the testimony of Livingston Allen, which goes by the name of DJ Academics, because DJ Academics was friends with X and had posted long YouTube,
Now, before he gets into that, right? Before he gets into that, which, by the way, I sent information. I sent my videos in case he would like to do some, once again, because, again, justice for XXX, number one, first and foremost. But second of all, it is time for Drake to sit down for a second. You've done a lot, man. You've done a lot of Diddy. You've done a lot of Diddy-like things, and it's time for you to sit down, my brother. It is time for you to sit down. You yourself think it's even time to sit down. If you're saying things like this, if you are saying things like this, sir, you yourself think it's time to sit down, don't you? Maybe I should break that 20, do a 10. Maybe I should break that 10, do a 5. Then if it gets live, do a 5 again. Pretty much letting you know that, hey, I might be doing some jail time, but I'll break that 20 years down to a 10. Then I'll break that 10 down to a 5. Now, do y'all remember when this guy said it? Remember when Ryan Garcia, the boxer, had brought up the same exact information? Because he remembers this too. XXXTentacion had put on his Instagram story, if anyone tries to kill me, it was Drake, it was Champagne Poppy, I'm snitching right now. Put it again. He made it even bigger. Now, I can't show the picture in which resulted in, or should I say, in one of the things that resulted in the beef, because I pulled it up early and I said, oh, they did it to make it look like he was, I'll just say, giving head to a man. They altered it and looked like he had lotion on his face and had a wee-wee in the mama, okay? So, yeah. That was pretty much what resulted in Mr. Aubrey Graham, as well as the one that's down here too. He had actually done an IG live where he pretty much was going off on on Drake's mom. He said, like I said, we're gonna look at the video in a second here. But yeah.
Content regarding this beef. He actually posted YouTube saying that he was on the phone with, posted something about Drake's mom, and he had posted a picture of a Drake lookalike with semen on his face. And you better be careful, because even though, like, and I'm paraphrasing again, even though he's not a gangster, you may be pushing him. As a reaction to that conversation, X, or off of IG, and he's testimony, which a motion to perpetuate fictional limits of the court, and that you feel that you're not going to be able to bring them into court. So I'm basically asking the court to allow me to go to California or wherever I have to go. I did that, argued it to the court, and the court in a reaction, basically said, I'm not going to grant your motion to perpetuate testimony. Just take his castle in Beverly Hills.
There's something that you mentioned that XXXTentacion's mother, Cleopatra Bernard, she testified that Onfroy had this ongoing feud with Mr. Graham, Aubrey Graham Drake. She said this feud with Graham included throwing shots at Onfroy and lyrics from one of Graham's songs. You mentioned that controversial statement that he made, if anyone tries to kill me, it was champagne poppy. The question I want to start with as we get into the Drake conversation, were you arguing, or his appellate attorneys arguing that Drake was a part of this killing, that he was the one who did this, or are you arguing that it should have? So again, what are exactly we suggesting? Are you suggesting?
He's asking the wrong question. And what Padilla should say is, no, I am not saying that he was involved. I am saying that he is allegedly the person that paid for the murder and hire. Simple Town Radio, what's going on? I am saying that he is allegedly the one that paid for these gentlemen to kill XXXTentacion. That's what he should say.
That Drake had a part in it, or that just it wasn't looked into and it shows a sloppy investigation and not a fair trial?
Well, in the brief and in what I was arguing in court is the latter. We are a defendant has every right to defend himself and to show reasonable doubt wherever it may be, and to fully investigate and articulate to a jury an alternate shooter defense or an alternate, a defense where someone else, committed this crime. Am I going to sit here and tell you that Drake was holding a gun or Drake? But the facts, as they are stated by X's own mother, is that she knew about the beef with Drake and with Migos. She knew about the violence between Migos and her son, where there was a violent episode. She knew about 600 Breezy, which is a known, which means that I have a gun, and she was concerned about it. She testified in the depot that she discussed it with her son. She testified that the reason, everything that we're discussing, so it was relevant. And for many months during the trial, January, February, even February 7th of 2023, the judge is agreeing with me. Okay, now there comes a moment and a hearing. He goes ahead and Drake hires after the judge enters a rule to show cause, basically saying a purge date. You have to appear for depo on this day, or I'm going to do a writ of bodily attachment. He then goes and hires Brad Cohen, a friend of the show, friend of mine as well, an excellent attorney. And Brad files several motion to quash the subpoena, and he files a motion for protective order. We go back and forth, and the judge says, and the first time that Brad shows up to court, he says, you know what, I'm gonna quash the rule to show cause. He's hired counsel, and I'm not gonna get into settlement negotiations
Sure.
on the show, but we can't agree. We go into court February 24th, I believe, on his motions. At that time, James Beard, which is the process server that served Drake, appeared as a witness, refusing to cooperate. It showed one of Drake's employees kicking the subpoena down the road that leads to his mansion. And the judge didn't allow me to show that. Despite not allowing me to put forth that evidence, the judge did a 180 from telling me to figure it out, coordinate it, take the depo, did a 180, told me to quash my subpoena, allowed Mr. Cohen to argue California law without having a California. In fact, he even we had taken the deposition of one of X's relatives regarding, she's lying because the whole world knows about this beef. So for her to sit here and say that she didn't know about it, it's on her credibility. So despite all of this, he does a 180. He not only grants the motion for protective order, basically saying that I can now serve him again.
Okay.
And it quashes the subpoena, but the state attorney, sensing there's blood in the water, says, I'm going to strike Mr. Graham. So he struck in the middle of the trial. He struck Drake from my witness list, which is completely inappropriate considering the history of the case.
Talk to me real quick about why you think the judge did this, because in the appellate brief, and correct me if I'm wrong, there is an accusation that the court might have been biased because of Drake's celebrity status. Correct me if that allegation is wrong. And in your opinion, why do you believe the court ultimately wouldn't allow the deposition of Drake?
I'll say that judge reversible errors, and I think from the beginning he made a lot of calls that were unconstitutional, not legal. This being one of them. I don't want to speculate as to why, but when you're dealing with someone like Drake, which he's not a celebrity, he's a super celebrity. He's like in the stratosphere of fame. So when a judge does a 180 like that, I'll let the viewers or other people figure out why they think that it happened, but I'm not gonna speculate as to why it happened. But
no, I get that. I get that. I do want to ask you about this because this is another part of the appeal. And that is with respect to the testimony of this gang expert, which was excluded in a pretrial hearing. And the defense, my understanding, wanted to call Jesse De La Cruz, who they had claimed, discovered visual evidence that Drake could have had ties to the same organization as a co-defendant in this case, Robert Allen. And I believe the brief states, Dr. Cruz's research revealed photos of Mr. Graham throwing the same gang signs as Allen. And Allen is that accomplice who I mentioned before who testified against his co-defendants. But Cruz also revealed that people who knew Drake were allegedly seen in XXXTentacion's neighborhood threatening him before he died. The brief reads, social media posts showed these same known Graham associates were seen in Onfroy's neighborhood threatening him just prior to the murder. And then they say even more revealing is this connection that Cruz made to Drake's. But ultimately, Cruz
you've stated was thrown, which is how Cruz said, which is a legal call. With Little Drake is out there flaunting gang ties. We put forth evidence of Hassan Ali, which is top 5 out there openly claiming on social media and video that he's Drake's shooter, which is top 5 out there openly claiming on social media and video that he's Drake's shooter. And part of the theory of defense is to show, listen, even though these people are entertainers, okay, there's a gang related portion of it. There's a gang related side to it. And X's own mother testified that she knew about this, that she knew about when 600 Breezy traveled from wherever he was, whether it's Chicago to South Florida. She knew about it. She talked to him about it. So this case had more than ample evidence and ample reason to involve a gang expert.
To be clear, though, you were allowed to argue that someone else could have been responsible for this killing because you cross-examined Allen on cross-examination, suggesting that he had this link to Drake. But my understanding is you're arguing now that the trial court had put limits on your cross-examination of Allen, that violated your client's rights. Am I misunderstanding that?
No, you're 100% correct. And they did it not only with Allen, but they did it all throughout the trial.
Okay.
With Allen admitted that his father, known drug dealer, known firearms dealer, as the brief states, produced at least one of the guns that was used in this. When I asked him about his father and ties to Toronto and drug dealing, the state objected, and the judge didn't allow that question. So it was a constant battle for me to try and basically do my job and show where reasonable doubt existed. With Allen, with Detective Curcio, the problem here is also that the state attorney, on direct of Detective Curcio, which was the lead detective in the case, she asked, do you have any information that Drake was involved in this? And that was before the court struck him. So whatever the reasons may have existed, the moment that state attorney opens up their mouth and says that, now he's really at issue.
My only question is, why don't they have the actual clip of him saying it? Like, I keep trying to wait for that, but I'm like, they don't have the actual clip of Diedrich saying Drake's name in court. That's the part that needs to go out. And I don't understand why they're holding that footage hostage like that. Bro, I did see that. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate you, and God bless you as well. God bless you as well. Feel better. Feel better. Make sure you have plenty of alkaline water. And please do. I would definitely recommend some herbal green tea as well. I don't always recommend hot toddies, because I don't know if people necessarily get down like that with the drinking. But I do recommend some very herbal green tea, as well as alkaline water and plenty of rest. I do recommend that. Fast Life Forever, what's going on? What's going on? SL, what's going on? So, like I said, I'm waiting for them to actually play that clip, but I don't think they will ever show that, Diedrich is saying Drake's name in court, as well as what we keep reading about his name being brought up in court. I don't think that footage is ever going to come out. But I wish it would. I wish it would, because it would drastically help the situation, as well as it would help the court of public opinion for that appeal to even happen now.
Because now
you're opening the door. You're opening the door to that coming in.
Yes. And not only was it an issue of her mentioning it with Detective Curcio, but she asked him, you actually were able to verify whether or not Drake was in South Florida at the time. So in cross-examination, I asked, why would you have to verify if he was in South Florida? Why? Because he's a person of interest. And then I had to further ask, well, what did you do to, and I'm paraphrasing, what did you do to figure out whether he was in South Florida? He says, oh, my partner checked social media. So then I said, okay, so in a homicide case, the best that Broward Sheriff's Office has for a jury is to peep his Instagram. So it was basically breaking down the poor job that BSO did in their investigation and the tunnel vision that they had, and the fact that none of this was in the report. So you felt it important enough to check and verify whether or not he was in South Florida, but you never memorialized it in your report, and I'm not allowed to ask about it.
Well, did he also testified, Detective Curcio, that he learned that Onfroy, XXX, had been attacked by members of Migos, right? Migos is the rap group that's associated with Drake. Was that came in, and again, you weren't able to expand upon that?
Not only did that come in, but when I asked him in cross-examination, isn't it true that the first time that the name Migos comes out...
See, the real reason why, and the crazy thing is, him even asking about the Migos kind of throws things off. Reason why is because Padilla literally sounds like a madman when he's naming these different celebrities that are involved in a XXXTentacion murder. Number one. Number two, what XXXTentacion represented, they don't necessarily even care that he was unalived. Number three, it is Drake we're still talking about, and Drake is fighting an entirely different beast as far as UMG is concerned, as well as Diddy, fourth thing, is also happening now with all of the allegations that he is facing. So this could particularly sound like a fairy tale in a sense when you start naming certain names and when you start cross-referencing, say, the Migos, who, of course, have had their own trial and tribulation, because now people have to think about Takeoff, what happened with Quavo after, what happened with Offset and Cardi B, and things of that nature. You cross-reference those two incidences like that instead of focusing on what's going on with the involvement of Drake, and that's where things get misleading. Excuse me, not misleading. That's where miscommunication happens. And that's where misinformation also happens. As well as now, people are no longer going to be interested. It sounds like a whole bunch of bullshit, sounds like a whole bunch of poppycock, because people aren't going to necessarily want to even look at the necessary facts that they should regarding this particular situation, because there's a lot of different evidence that's out there with this. It's not like there isn't evidence that you find information on Drake having some involvement. It's just that they don't have the right incentive to actually do it. And maybe this appeal will give the incentive to do it, because he's going through his own thing with the lawsuit in UMG, and now UMG, of course, like I said, is possibly paying for this particular situation to reoccur once again. So once they're paying for this situation to reoccur again like this, it can be, like I said, curtains for Drake right now. It can be absolute curtains for Drake right now.
In this case, was a month after the murder, in the first conversation that you yourself had with the cooperating co-defendant Allen. He didn't remember. I had to refresh his recollection, and right there in the transcribed conversation, it basically showed that Allen, the cooperator, said the name Migos in the first conversation that they had. So it basically showed that I wasn't making this up. Like I'm not creating it. The facts were there before I even ever alleged their involvement or filed a motion in court. They're checking to see whether or not Drake is in South Florida. That was years before I mentioned it. And Alan is saying is talking about Migos to the lead detective a month after the murder. This is years before I filed anything regarding my theory of defense. So it was just to show that this is part of the case.
Right. And the argument is that your client didn't get a fair shake, didn't get a fair trial because you couldn't expand upon this and introduce this. I want to move quickly past Drake and ask you a couple different questions about this appeal. Speaking about Detective Curcio, I understand that there's also an objection that your team has with him providing opinion testimony on cell phone data. Can you talk about that real quick, what the issue was with Detective Curcio there?
Okay, well, the issue is that Broward County did not list a forensic expert, okay? And they tried to put forth expert testimony through someone by the name of Campvani and through Detective Curcio. And the court allowed them to give expert opinion as to locations of cell phones and things that are specifically left to experts, because when you list somebody as an expert, then that opens up the doors to discovery that we can take depositions of them and put us on notice to the specific details that they're going to testify to as an expert. That didn't happen in this case. And what they allowed was this individual named Campvani. They allowed him to basically put forth expert testimony, and he put forth a visual aid that he had prepared a week prior to his testimony. Okay, we were ambushed with it, and there he basically put little dots where he testified where the cell phones were exactly, and they allowed Detective Curcio to also give that type of testimony. Now, Detective Curcio is extremely experienced. I'm not going to take that away from him, and this individual Campvani as well. But just because you're experienced doesn't take away the obligation of Broward County to do things correctly. This is a murder case and a high-profile one at that.
There's a number of different other points that are raised in this appeal. There's things like allowing prior bad acts to come into this trial, allowing an out-of-court statement from defendant Newsom, which you argue was his Williams defense attorneys are saying was prejudicial. If you can, what's another big area of appeal? Is it any of those two that you really think could be problematic? Why your client? Again, I guess the idea is he deserves a new trial, right?
Yes, yes, and the two things that you mentioned are pretty egregious. The one of the Newsom is really shocking. Like, they basically on redirect of Detective Curcio asked them questions and brought in a hearsay statement regarding a completely separate murder investigation that he says that he found without authenticating the cell phone, and basically said that Newsom had told somebody in some dating app or something that he had buried money in his house. And so the judge buried money, he could be catching life, and a really incriminating statement. But Detective Curcio didn't have to authenticate that. They didn't have to show what cell phone it came from. Basically, he just said, I saw this in another case. And the problem is that my client is sitting at the same table with this individual that now the court has allowed this, extremely prejudicial information to come in. So that was a humongous reversible error, in my opinion, that affected not only my client's case, but everybody that was sitting there at table, including all the co-defendants.
Moving forward, though, what can we expect in terms of a timeline of appeal? When will this be heard? When will this be decided? If a new trial is granted, how does that work? Because now it's about the timeline of events. What should we expect?
You know what? I don't practice appellate law, and those are questions that I don't really want to give misleading answers to.
Okay.
So I don't want to give the wrong answers regarding appellate. I don't really do appellate law, but at some point they're going to file a responsive brief, and I think that the court could invite. I think the way it is nowadays, the court can invite oral argument. When I first started practicing law, you had the right to give oral argument. I think now it's only by invitation when the appellate court wants to hear your arguments. But yeah, I mean, listen, and convicted our client. The jury struggled. They had to have struggled because 8 days is. I've never had a case that the jury's been out that long and get a fair trial. When I read this, I think there's like some kind of a defense mechanism when you try a case for 11 weeks that you start forgetting things. When I read this, it brought it all back, and it reminded me of really how unfair the judge was with Mr. Williams, and the detrimental effects that it had for me to be able to properly defend my client.
Well, listen, Mauricio, I appreciate you coming on here, pleading your case, pleading for these facts that, these arguments that his appellate team will be making now to a higher court, breaking it down for us, because it can get a bit complicated in the weeds, but you really made it clear for us. So thank you so much, Mauricio.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. It's actually quite simple when you look at certain things, though, sir. It's quite simple. You was actually right, to call it facts. You definitely right to call some of those things facts, Baby Juju, what's going on? Good evening, good evening, good evening. He was definitely right to call those things facts. Let me definitely say that. So, real quick, I'm going to pull a Tisa Tales real quick and pull up just 2 videos real quick that I had already done on this particular matter right here. So, enjoy it while it lasts. But, we should play.
Everybody who like stays up. To neglect you, I was the first.
I was working with XXX. Don't reply to my texts. Now that he died, I regret not sending a verse back. But what's even worse, you know who came and tried to murk that boy. Or I'm talking to.
Being that you're, so connected, do you think that?
See, I have a lot of different ties to things, Vlad. Like I told you, I went to school for telecommunications. But you got to understand, telling is the first thing I went to school for, telling. So I'll tell you a story. So one day I was chilling with my friend Arbery, right?
Arbery.
No, Arbery. And we were in like my Canadian mansion. We was chilling with my friend Arbery. He was like, yo, there's this one kid that's bothering me, and I think I'm going to kill him. And I'm like, yo, what are you talking about? I'm going to find out the kid died. The kid died. Later on, the kid died. And then my friend Arby is like, he's doing this like freestyle thing. He's like talking about how he did the murder and everything like that. And I'm like, oh my God, did you kill that kid? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, wow. And he was like, this is what we do in the Six. And I was like, oh, you're a Six God. And he was like, yes. And then it was over.
Oh, that was Drake.
No, his name's Arbery.
Arbery.
Yeah.
Not Aubrey.
Arbery.
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 Yeah.
Not Aubrey.
No, Arbery.
Arbery.
Arbery. He's from Canada, Toronto.
Right, just like
Yeah.
Drake.
Yeah.
Oddly enough.
Yeah.
What's Arbery's last name?
Ram.
Not Graham.
Garam.
Ram.
Yeah. Arbery.
Ram.
Yeah. And he just plotted the whole murder out. There's like a video with him and like Travis Scott. And then like Drake. Arbery is like falling from the sky in like a meteor or something. And there's like a little kid on the ground. And he looks like X. And the meteor hits X. And it's like amazing how he just told the story in front of everybody and no one's even noticing. But that's what you do when you're higher up. We kill people and get away with it.
Okay. Well, Jaden Smith recently got on stage and said that Tyler, the Creator, is his boyfriend.
Amongst other things. Which was true. Jaden did say that. But allegedly, of Drake, said that he was told that Drake told him that he killed, XXX. Isn't that something? Now, I don't recall that particular picture, honestly. But I do remember how quick it was in the scene. So they're referring actually to this part right here. Let me show y'all. They're referring to this particular scene right here in the video of Sicko Mode, where there's a XXX lookalike, and I guess we gotta zoom that in a little bit. I got y'all though. So there's a XXX lookalike in here. With a similar hairstyle to him. Now, of course, some of y'all are like, I don't even know what XXX really even looks like, but if I give y'all another one, matter of fact, before we even zoom in on that one, I'll give y'all a much better. Damn it. I ain't going down without a fight. Unless some people get back up in here, I ain't going down without a fight. Damn it. We bake. We back. We bake. Ashley, what's going on? Yeah, we back. We back. I ain't going down without a fight. I ain't going down without a goddamn fight. I ain't going down without a fight. Nah. I wasn't giving up tonight. That would me go. I might go longer. I might go longer just because they did that. I'm gonna let some people get back up in here. Had to make sure my shit was right. Had to just hit the reset real quick. I said, you know what? It's all right. It's all right. I need to learn how to go incognito on this shit for a second. That's what I need to learn how to do. Get incognito. All right, so I'll reintroduce myself once again. I'm the host with the motherfucking most chill, motherfucking Murray. Yo, tuned in for the live from the spot. Shout out to everybody tuning in and not tuning in. You know how we do and how we rock. Episode 115. And yes, the mission is still the mission. So, if you were tuning in from the last live, we were pretty much breaking down, again, the different little pieces of evidence that is out there in regards to Mr. Aubrey Graham or Drake allegedly having something to do with the murder of XXXTentacion. So, like I said, I was waiting for a couple more people to get back up in here. Cook Kendall, what's going on? Straight from DC, what's going on? Yeah, I already know they messing with me. They, as I said. And so, before it gets too crazy, I'm just gonna let it play once again from where we left off at.
You guys have.
I apologize for how loud she is. I did in the very beginning of the video, but I apologize for how loud she is. So, no, they ain't get me. They ain't get me this time. They ain't strike me this time. They ain't strike me this time. I don't think. They ain't strike me this time. We had some technical difficulties, but they ain't strike me this time. It could be the weather. It could be Champagne Puppy.
What's going on?
All right, I'm gonna keep it. I was waiting on this.
Talk to me.
I was waiting for you at the door.
Yes. Me too.
All right, so look, you feel me? Like I saw it, bro.
Again, I apologize for how loud her ass is. I apologize.
You feel me? Like I wasn't in the wrong. Bro hit up a DJ that I fuck with.
Who did?
Drake.
Okay.
Drake hit up a DJ that I fuck with. You feel me? And bro told me, he was like, yo, the nigga Drake watched your interview. He said he fuck with you and he fuck with your partner Ski Mask. He's like, yo, despite me disrespecting him as a man, because I can't respect him as a man, I respect that nigga career. That's a GOAT.
Okay.
That's a GOAT.
So you know how to differentiate the two?
I know. Corporately, that nigga is the GOAT.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I knew what I was doing when I said what I said, and I knew how to approach him. Because I know where he can't beat me at.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? So, initially, he was supposed to contact one of my managers. So, he doesn't do it. That same fucking week, bro, I go on to, well, I can't go on to it, obviously, because I'm locked up. But
yeah.
I'm on the securest phone, you feel me?
That's crazy. When you in jail, people checking for you. The cult following is like, yo, what's good? You still buzzing in these streets. And what were you thinking in your mind when you can't access it? Like, that must be a crazy feeling.
Like I said, I was really, really, really big on being inside of my mind.
Yeah.
Like astral projection and meditation and things of that sort. So it was never, it was a problem because it was a problem for the reason that I wanted to be with my family and the people I love. You know what I'm saying? And I wanted to be able to express that. I wanted to be able to feed off the energy of my family. Now, as far as anything that revolved around my career, I knew it could wait.
Okay, got it.
I know what you feel me like. It's a difference between being an artist and being a rapper.
Yeah.
Some of these niggas could hop on the radio and be gone the next day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And they could try and be on the top, but they can't maintain it. I can maintain. Just like,
Got it.
And a lot of people said that's why Drake felt the need to remove XXX, was that he was going to be the next one to take his spot. Now, what XXX is actually talking to is the fact that Look at Me and KMT actually sounds exactly the same. What I'm talking about is Drake had a record on More Life, ironically on More Life, called KMT. Now, here's how it worked. Drake releases KMT before XXX ends up getting out of jail. But XXX's cult following, lets him know that, hey, Drake is out here biting your flow. Some podcasters actually, and we're going to shout out them as well, they actually have broke down this whole entire thing. A little bit better than I could.
One of my conspiracy theories that I've had for a long time, controversial,
yes,
without any
X did it
proof, and
better.
it's all allegedly.
I agree, Jennifer.
This is entertainment. But a lot of people feel the same way. There's been multiple TikToks. There's been a lot of situations prior to this. And this is going to be us trying to break this down. XXXTentacion, rest in peace, our brother, huge fan of the YouTube channel, one of our supporters without us realizing it. And we realized too late. Unfortunately, he passed away, right? Shout out to him, rest in peace, Jase. He had a beef with Drake. Now, how did this beef start? There was a, Look at Me. You guys, everyone remember, Look at Me. Yeah. Look at Me. That song came out, popping, blew up XX's career, XXXTentacion's career. Then we have Drake dropping More Life, and the song with Giggs, KMT?
Yes, KMT.
KMT.
That shit's hard, bro.
Can't everybody in the Jeep? How long I been in my week? And it sounded like X, like, look at me. The same type of cadence and flows, right? Yep. So then X called him out. This was X talking about Drake.
Bro, I hit up a DJ that I fuck with.
Who did?
Drake.
Okay.
Drake hit up a DJ that I fuck with. You feel me? And bro told me, he was like, yo, the nigga Drake watched your interview. He said he fuck with you and he fuck with your partner Ski Mask. He's like, yo, he's saying he go call your manager within the next few days.
Okay.
So I'm amped up. Nigga, I fuck with Drake.
Yeah.
You feel me? Drake a genius.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Despite me disrespecting him as a man, because I can't respect him as a man, I respect that nigga career. That's a GOAT.
Okay.
That's a GOAT.
So you know how to differentiate the two?
I know. Corporately, that nigga is the GOAT.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I knew what I was doing when I said what I said, and I knew how to approach him. Because I know where he can't beat me at.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? So, initially, he was supposed to contact one of my managers. So, he doesn't do it. That same fucking week, bro, I go on to, well, I can't go on to it, obviously, because I'm locked up. But
Yeah.
I'm on the securest phone, you feel me, for this shit.
So you in jail, he's supposed to contact your manager, and then...
He dropped the video. I was talking to my girl at the time, not the same bitch that got me arrested, a different girl.
Okay.
I was talking to her at the time, and she was like, yo, listen to, no, actually, fuck that. It was my dog, Chris. I was on the phone with my dog, Chris. He was like, yo, you gotta listen to this shit. This nigga Drake a fuck nigga. That's exactly what he said. Like, this nigga Drake a fuck nigga. You gotta listen to this shit. So he plays this shit. I hear da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, what the fuck? As soon as it started, like, I knew what he was getting at. And the funny thing is, we didn't discover it. Like you said, the fans, because they're so cold, like, it's like, I got a piece of the internet, you feel me?
So they were saying that Drake was biting your style. That's what the fans were saying.
Yeah. Flow, hell yeah, bro. You could take his verse, like they did a mashup. They put his verse on my song, and the cadence is literally just at the same tempo.
Yeah.
It's not offbeat at all. And if you listen to my song and then you listen to the bruh song, like you could, bro, we all
Let's
not
see.
dumb. Yeah, go.
It's no matter now.
I still think Drake a fuck nigga. As a man, no, I'm keeping a blood raw. I still think Drake a fuck nigga. Like, I think he's not a man. I think he's a bitch. That's a bitch move. Especially when I was in jail facing life, bro. You get what I'm saying? If Drake would have came to my barn hearing, you know what I'm saying, that would have made my fucking day. If he would have showed that he's a hospitable person and that he's really in this shit for the culture, rather than being a fuck nigga taking my shit, running off with it, and then putting it on his album, then he would have got my kudos, he would have got my respect. I would have let him hop on the remix, take 100% royalty rate.
You guys, hey, tell Drake mom I want some. Hey, tell Drake mom I want some tapioca pudding. Tell Drake mom I like my pudding tapioca.
See, that's the video that I was talking about earlier that I was trying to find on the Google, but I couldn't remember where it was. So they pulled up the video pretty much of where he was talking about Drake's mom. Again, this was antagonizing Drake before he got killed. Bruh. See, and that would now it makes a perfect sense. You're going to hear a quick Easter egg of what he mentions later on, but now it makes a little bit more sense. It wasn't just the fact that his mom's. That's why Drake put that bag on him. This video right here and him doing this live right here. That's because you're going to hear exactly what I'm talking about where Drake starts referencing him. Shout out to And411 as well. I do believe also that Takeoff's and XXX's death is very connected, considering the fact that I want you to also see how spiritually Diddy and Drake are going through the same thing at the same time. So it's not, like I said, it's almost a coincidence, not a coincidence that Drake and Diddy are going through the same thing, and that XXX and Takeoff's murders are pretty much connected behind the scenes. Not necessarily by the same people, but connected in the same way of the...
And I like my kneecaps like sandbags. Yo. Hey, y'all like pudding? I like pudding, bit. But I know I'm not finna get whooped by that sorry ass nigga.
So it's coming at his mom, talking about his mom. He wants to get head from his mom, talking about he wants to fight Drake. All this shit happened, right? And then time passes, and unfortunately, X gets killed. So then after that, prior to the song that we're going to talk about today, the new one, there was another one, Mar. What was it? Was it I'm Upset? It was another song that he came, and it was like a sub.
Body bags and they changed for Louis bags. People were connecting that to
Oh, shit. So the song is called Mob Ties.
and he just verified that bitch. He did it for the mob ties. You know what I'm saying? I still don't think that Drake did this shit.
Listen, of course. We don't think that at all.
Louis bags in exchange for body bags, yeah.
And then he says, sick of these niggas, hire some help, get rid of these niggas.
Yeah.
Ace, you called it. Right before they said mob ties, you called it.
Body bags exchanged for Louis bags. For those who don't know, X died. This bag that they stole was a Louis bag. So people have always like, oh, Drake and X. And then I've been like, no, it can't be. It's impossible, right? And then...
So that's an interesting Easter egg right there. So XXX was... they said that XXX was actually robbed for Louis Vuitton bags. And Drake actually puts in the lyrics of Mob Ties, Louis bags in exchange for body bags.
This is crazy.
I've been saying for the past couple of years, Drake been throwing these little bullshit subliminals in here that he has something to do with XXX murder. From even on the last album with For All the Dogs. So the crazy thing is with that, right? And I must say this, right? Notice this, right? Remember how we also broke down the fact that that record right there was from Vori? Simple Town Radio, what's going on? Icon Vonnie, what's going on? Yes, we definitely back. We most definitely back. I ain't going down without a motherfucking fight. Remember how we broke down that particular record, Mob Ties, where that was also a Vori track, a reference track? So crazy how it's also a reference track from Vori. And literally, the only thing that you changed up in that whole record was Louis bags in exchange for body bags. The only thing you changed up in the whole reference track to make it your own was about you killing somebody, allegedly. I'm starting to really hate this nigga. The first thing I caught was that line that he did on that timestamp freestyle where he's like, "Diss me so long ago, we still letting your memory fly." And I'm like, why does he keep referencing XXX? Then on I'm Upset, he goes, SMS, XXX, that's the only way I shoot below the neck. I'm like, why does he keep referencing this nigga? I'm like, what does he have on him?
Incidental situation of this is like, wow, why would this ever be a thing? That it was tied to an X diss. It is this one. So on the 21 Savage and Drake album, Her Loss, there's a song called On Some Bullshit. On this song, Drake says, if he held his tongue on that live, he'd be alive again. Damn. People are saying, yet another XXXTentacion diss again.
Like, bruh. Like, nigga, you keep saying this shit. And then on Thug Joint, you talking about something I should be in there with Young Thug and them. Why you should be in there with Young Thug and them? Like, what did you do? Nigga, you keep saying you did something. I'm just saying.
I don't know how everyone overlooked this. We all know Drake to hold grudges, but as a father, he should have let the tapioca pudding remark go and grow up. This is a 40-year-old man still dissing a dead 20-year-old man for a comment he made about when he was 19 years old is beyond petty and childish. So people are tying this back to the X situation where X was on Instagram Live, very specific, and said, Drake, I want your mom to give me head, fuck your mom. And he said, I'll fight you, you're sacrificing me, yada, yada. If he held his tongue on that live, he'd be alive again.
And then goes out to say, Drake, you're sacrificing me. Why would you emphasize that part right there? Drake is sacrificing me. Those that don't read between the lines right there, Jane, that Drake is basically going to kill him for a ritual purpose.
So is someone that died. X died after this, right? Then it continues. No one broke this one down yet. I pay $500,000 for his soul. He my nemesis.
Man, I mean,
dog. That part right there caught me. Watch this. Watch this. So, do y'all remember in Euphoria? Watch this shit. Do y'all remember in Euphoria where he does this in the first verse right here? Well, this is the first time he said, have you ever? In this same song, he even mentions he even mentions YNW Melly also. I'm trying to go down to oh, here it goes, right here. Here we go, right here. Now, I'm going to play this part right here again, what he just said. Just so you get what I'm getting at.
Drake, I want your mom to give me head, fuck your mom. And he said, I'll fight you, you're sacrificing me, yada, yada. If he held his tongue on that live, he'd be alive again. So is someone that died. X died after this, right? Then it continues. No one broke this one down yet. I pay $500,000 for his soul. He my nemesis.
I pay $500,000 for his soul, right? Dog. In Euphoria, like I said, this is what caught me right here. When in Euphoria, Kendrick raps exactly this. Have you ever played Have You Ever? Okay, nigga, let's play. Have you ever walked away? Have you ever walked on your enemy down like with a poker face? Have you ever walked your enemy down with like a poker face? Have you ever paid 500,000 like to an open case? Have you ever paid 500,000 to an open case? Have you ever paid 500,000 to an open case?
I pay $500,000 for his soul.
I'm just saying. Is it not a coincidence that in this same damn record, he would rap, yeah, Cole Aubrey, no, I'm a selfish nigga, the crown is heavy, huh? I pray they my real friends, if not, I'm YNW Melly. Bruh. And then the Moles board. You remember the Moles board with YNW Melly on it? Like, everything is right there, y'all. It's all here.
He my nemesis.
Man, I mean, to be honest,
What the fuck is going on?
like putting them two aside, just talking about anybody who has money, it's kind of crazy because with money you just have so much power where you don't have to get your hands dirty at all. I know 50 in an interview, it was like somebody was like, yo, what would you do if I punch you and shit? He's like, would you punch me back? He's like, if you punch me back, like I'll just hit myself more and shit so I could sue you. And 50 was like, nah, I don't gotta punch you back because whatever money you get off that lawsuit, I'm gonna just give it to one of the homies and he's gonna handle you for the same shit.
Yeah.
So it's like, bro, why would you disrespect anybody with money and who has connections like that? Like, you're playing with a fine line.
I pay $500,000 for his soul. He my nemesis.
What does nemesis mean?
Not only what does it mean, Mar. Look up nemesis in XXXTentacion. So X posted on his Instagram story, if anyone tries to kill me, it was Drake. I'm snitching right now. Then he said, X, peace and love and positivity, but I seen that pic in my tags and had to post that B. That boy my nemesis.
You're going to jail, Drake.
The Rico.
And the post he's talking about, there was a photo that was going around of some man that looked like Drake, where he had this like white residue all over his face, and it looked like he was in a crowd or something. It probably was food or something, but it looked like cum. So people always posted like, "Oh, is Drake getting cummed on?" But it's not Drake. But it looks kind of like Drake, but it's obviously not Drake.
Man.
But then he's saying, "I had to repost that." Blah blah. That boy, my nemesis.
You know, when somebody don't got money, they'll handle it face to face, fist to fist, or guns. You know, but
So that's the Drake and XXXTentacion case by FBI Sound of Club Ambitions.
That's wild.
Isn't it fucking weird?
This is my thing, man.
That's
This is
fucking
my
weird,
thing.
bro.
There's
I don't give a that's fucking weird.
There's so many coincidences, right? There's a lot, and I get it. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to believe it, but at the same time, it's like if Drake were to do something like this, you soft. Knock on wood. You don't try to come after me. You know what I'm saying? I'm nobody. But my thing is that like he's had beef with other people and this and that, like, and then this is a kid, you know what I'm saying, with that when you were beefing and shit like that, you know, you could tell that you're older, he's a kid, he's trying to get clout, whatever the fuck it was during that time. Your shit sounded just like his, so why the fuck is he not gonna try to come at you and shit? I would have done the same fucking thing. You know, especially in the streets. What's the first thing people do, bro? Come at someone's mom. That's the first thing someone does. It's like the first fucking punch in the fucking street, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's just how it goes.
But for those who,
that's how it used to be, bro.
God, I didn't even think about this.
What?
Investigation continues. When people get tattoos of teardrops below their eyes, what is it? Allegedly, it's a body. Each body is a teardrop.
Body, yeah.
Drake has tattoos below his eyes that look like teardrops, but they're not teardrops. It's SG. What does SG stand for? Sandra Graham, his mother.
Caught a body for his mom.
Now, isn't that something? I never peeped that. Hold on. Son of a bitch. Son of a bitch. So while everybody thought this was just an innocent tattoo of his mom, it's symbolizing almost a teardrop.
The thing that bothers me is that
That's weird, man.
Why is he talking about this shit like now?
Probably because
later on,
Because why would Drake say that line?
He probably not saying. He probably wasn't saying it before because he wasn't getting caught. He was trying not to get
no,
caught.
no,
He's
but
like,
but this is the thing
That's
though.
fucking
This-
weird, bro.
But
this is the
don't
thing.
expect this.
What?
If that's the case.
What?
That's weird as hell.
What?
21 Savage is the op killer, so. Yeah,
What's happening now in his life
put
and shit like
21 in
that?
this shit.
What's happening now in his life that he has to start talking about these things, bringing it up and shit like that? It's as if he's trying to prove to someone that he's about it. You know what I'm saying?
This shit got me fucked up now.
So like, what the fuck's really happening behind doors and shit like that when it comes down to Drake? He's probably one of the biggest right now. Well, not probably. He is one of the biggest right now. So who do you have to prove shit to?
Maybe it was him being scared. Because let's talk about
Well,
it.
let's say this: if Kanye dies, it's Drake then.
No, God forbid. God forbid.
Think
But
Kanye got mad in
if X was still alive, wouldn't he potentially, currently, right now, was that 4 years now later, 5 years later, be bigger than Drake? Or damn near competitive right there with Drake? Because X wasn't going smaller. He was
this
only
is
getting
the thing.
bigger.
This is the thing. If X was still alive, in order for Drake to keep him from becoming bigger than him, he would have collabed with him.
And since he didn't do that, the only other option was to kill him.
Also,
God
the thing
forbid.
is, Drake probably
Allegedly.
Drake did steal the flow from a 19-year-old kid. He probably doesn't want to admit he took a flow from a
Because
19-year-old kid.
not only that, think about this. Every person that Drake, that like some up and coming artist, whatever, and Drake has collabed with them, where are they right now?
It's not like.
Where are they right now? What's the biggest one right now that's still popping?
Probably Young Blue.
Young Blue. But even Young Blue is like, he's still popping, but
Young Blue,
he's popping.
He completely changed his genre.
There really isn't anybody. If you think about it, everybody, even down to Block Boy G, I think his name is. Everybody that's had a collab with Drake that came out, McConan, everybody. I'm trying to think. That's a lot of people. Everybody that supposedly came out with Drake right after I didn't really hear too much. I think who's the kid that did DNF? The dude that's his boy. He didn't we didn't really hear too much of him after that. It's like everybody Drake does a feature with, new and up and coming, we don't hear much after them afterwards. That's interesting right there.
I don't know though.
Yeah, to R&B music and shit. Yeah,
Marlon.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Shit
yeah.
fire though.
McConan's gone.
I'm thinking if he were to do it playing devil's advocate, it would be because he's so competitive. He's like, damn, X is so fucking good. I hate that he's so good. He could be bigger than me.
But you
And
gonna,
also,
you gonna body him though?
also, he has a huge cult following. So guess what? X, all his fans spamming Drake. They probably was spamming Drake's DMs, spamming Drake's comments. That's why Drake, we spoke about it before. That's why comment. You can't just leave a comment on his post. That's why his comments are just full of celebrities, because he changed that around that time with the X situation, because they didn't want to get spammed no more. And they probably were spamming him, maybe hacking him. Who knows? Like, X fans are real deal cult, like to the highest extreme. We think like Taylor's fans, bro, X fans are real deal.
Rapper XXXTentacion were back in court today. Local 10 News reporter Alex Finney was at their hearing and reports from Fort Lauderdale.
Lawyers waived a speedy trial for Robert Allen. He's just one of four
Alex
people
Finney,
connected
pretty
to the
beautiful
murder
woman.
of South Florida rapper José Froy, best known as XXXTentacion. Robert Allen and Michael Boatwright appeared in court today. Boatwright's defense argued that
Them boys look like
competency
they
has
needed
not
a
been
bag.
decided.
Yo.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that kid right there. He's actually now a witness on the YNW Melly case. Ain't that something?
Look at the gentleman right here. Wow.
Damn, you niggas regret it already. I could see it in your face.
My
Fuck,
thing,
bro.
My thing is, right, this is the thing that also doesn't fucking sit right with me, right? Whatever, let's say you scheming on the boy, right? You scheming. Two things could have happened. This is the way that my mentality works and shit like that. You was planning on killing him. You took the bag to try to make it seem like a robbery. Or two, it was actually a robbery. Nobody had shit to do with it. And they look like, I'm sorry, to me, they look like they've never done some hot shit like this. You know what I'm saying? They don't look like fucking killers. They look like that type. It's like, for example, the one that killed fucking PNB. You know what I'm saying? It was a kid, Or like the one that killed also fucking Pop Smoke, also a 16-year-old. Motherfuckers doing this shit for the first time or doing it, get into, but you know what I'm saying? Boom, pull the fucking trigger.
Yeah.
People who don't really know how to move like that and shit like that. If you're a real fucking person who steals and shit like that, I don't really think you gonna catch a body, you know what I'm saying? Because you know what the consequences gonna be.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You can get away with the bread and shit like that, but if you body someone, sooner or later you gonna get caught.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, let's just end it there. I don't really want to do more digging. I'm getting nervous. Let's just end it there.
That's the thing, man. And whenever somebody wanted to touch this, they got that eerie feeling. They got that same eerie feeling of things, man. Because we've talked about this many times before. He keeps bringing the shit up that he had something to do with XXX's murder. Not just Anthony Soares, but he keeps hinting specifically at the fact that he had something to do with XXX. And it makes sense now when you have the SG tattoo on you, and it's your mom's tattoo, and the fact that he keeps referencing the live that XXX did, dissing your mother, and then you're referencing the $500,000. Kendrick also references the $500,000. You're saying that you should be in jail with Thug. There's a lot of things pointing your way, sir. Then you getting the you almost got ordered to court for the XXX murder as well, in which one of the defense attorney was bringing you up specifically about XXX's tweet saying, "Yo, if I die, Drake killed me. If I die, look towards Drake." This is not starting to be a coincidence, sir. When you look at all the evidence that's going on around you, dog, it's a lot of shit pointing at you doing something. Especially you pointing at yourself that you did something. Malcolm, what's going on, my brother? What's going on? Quick Draw McGraw. That boy Simple Town. Quick Draw McGraw. Alright. So, no, I didn't get cut again. I need 50 cents. I'll DM you later. I got you. Let's see. So, again, this is why I didn't want to necessarily say anything too much, because I'm like, yo, I said all this already. It didn't make no sense for me to even go over all the information once again when I had it already 5 months ago to a year. These same videos, like I said, are on, I'm saying, on the chat. These same videos are on the YouTube. So if you definitely want to go look at them again, they're right there on the YouTube if you want to look at the more evidence Drake allegedly has something to do with the murder. Another one, the Daylight one. I think it's another one too. And then this, of course, I go through the blind items. It's different ones, of course. But like I said, I've been talking about this for a while now, and I just want to see justice for XXX as well as everybody else does, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, that is my take on, what happened with yesterday in regards to law and crime reporting what happened, or should I say reporting that, Diedrich had said something about Drake in the court. So I was like, yo, it's about damn time. It's about time. It is about time. But my whole thing is, as I said before, Drake just keep saying it. You can't keep saying it and think that nothing's gonna happen. That's why I keep betting on him getting the murder for hire, because it seems like that's gonna happen. The murder for hire, I do feel like it's gonna happen. Thank you so much. Yes, we just reached over 6,000 followers. I'm trying to hit at least. I want to hit 10 before New Year's. I know that's not gonna necessarily happen, but I'm gonna try to make it happen. But yes, I definitely want to see just justice for XXXTentacion right now. That's my whole thing. If this is getting brought up like this and he has a chance of getting that appeal and Drake has to come to court because of certain things, I hope that the judge at least looks at or looks into, or even the prosecution, I hope they look into certain things. Hell, I hope Padilla looks into certain things and he says, hey, I can't use this information right now because that particular case might be over and I might not have anything to do with it, but I know somebody that knows somebody that might know somebody, you know? That's why I pass the information on. Just in case. Just in case. But